Hi, I'm Tracy Burrows. I'm the Executive Director of MRSC, and I'm here with Steve Hawley.
Good morning, everyone.
Great. Just to let you know, I have worked for MRSC for about the last 10 years. And before that, worked for several communities in Puget Sound. And so I'm happy to talk to you about the services that we provide. And Steve is going to do the most popular part of this webinar, so hang on for him, which is a really in-depth view of our website and all the tools and resources that are there. Just a couple of technical notes before we get started. We're in Zoom webinar, and so if you have a question or a technical question that you need to get answered, use our Q&A feature, and there's a button there at the bottom of your screen. We have chat disabled, but the one important feature that you want to take advantage of today is that you can download the presentation slides that are in the chat feature. So again, just click on the chat there to download the presentation slides. If you want to adjust your audio settings, you can do so on the audio settings portion of the screen. And we have closed captioning available. So again, if you want to take advantage of that, you can do that there. Just another note that if you want to make the screen sharing part of your presentation bigger on your computer monitor, you can move that horizontal line over and minimize Steve and I, and then maximize your screen. Our agenda for today, I'll give a little bit of an overview about MRSC, talk about one of our premier services, our Ask MRSC inquiry service, talk about our news and training, and then Steve will be going over the website overview and demonstration. You'll learn a lot of things, I think, that you may not know about how to get really great information off of our website, and then we'll be answering your questions. Just briefly about MRSC, we offer free consultations through our Ask MRSC program, and so I'm going to be talking about that. And we'll give guidance on hundreds of topics, webinars, e-newsletters, sample documents, and research tools. Our mission is to empower local governments to better serve their communities. We are here to serve you and give you the resources that you need to help meet your community's goals. So before we get any further, we'd like to know who our audience is so we can perhaps tailor some of the work that you'll see today. So are you a city or town, a county, special purpose district? We serve several different types of special purpose districts, or something else, a nonprofit working for the state. Let's take a moment and let us know where you're coming from. Okay, about 2/3, or a little less than 2/3 of our audience is cities or towns, counties and special purpose districts, and a few folks out there from the state or some other kind of association. Great. That's great to know. We've got a wide breadth of representation here today. MRSC has been around for a long time, serving local governments in Washington State for over 88 years. We know that there are countless sources of information out there for you to choose from. And I think what makes MRSC different is that we curate all the information on our website, and we have annotations on a lot of the information. We cull through literally thousands of documents to get the best information to you. It is specific to Washington State, so you can depend on getting information that applies here locally. We're independent, we're nonpartisan, we don't take sides on policy issues, so you're going to find objective information here. We don't get involved in disputes. We don't provide legal representation or serve as your legal counsel, although we do have very capable attorneys who are here to answer your questions and give you legal guidance. By the numbers, last year, over 4,000 folks asked us for guidance through our Ask MRSC program, which is a really valuable program. You can see that a lot of folks use our services, and we hope that you are among those who do. I'm going to first talk about our Ask MRSC service. So want to know again from our audience if you use it often, and this is a service where you can call or email us with a question and get guidance. So do you use it occasionally, or maybe you don't use it for whatever reason? So just let us know. Okay, half of you don't use the service. Another group use it occasionally, and a small number use it often. Well, hopefully we'll get you, those who haven't used it or don't use it, to try it out, see how it works for you. I know that a lot of folks, the folks who do use it, find it very popular. It's a very highly rated service of ours, always actually the top rated service when we do our customer service surveys, which we do every couple of years. So what is it and how can I use it? It's really simple. It's free for all cities and counties, for hundreds of special purpose districts. And those are folks who we have contracts with and are partners of MRSC and our other government partners, just state agencies. So, and if you're not sure, you can always go to our website, and I'll show you how in a moment, and it'll let you know whether your agency is eligible for our free Ask MRSC service. You can so call or online, and we'll get back to you really fast. I've used it particularly new to Washington State. I came here and had a background in a state that had tax increment financing and had all kinds of redevelopment financing options available. And I wanted to understand what the restrictions here were in Washington State. And I got a lot of help from the attorneys at MRSC on questions like that. So if you're new to public service, or if you're just coming to Washington State, it's really valuable. It's also valuable for us old hands who've been around for a long time, but there's always something new under the sun or some knotty problem that you may not have encountered before. And so you can ask us a question. And so who will answer the questions? We've got several top-notch attorneys on our team. They come from municipal backgrounds, cities and counties, and they have a wide range of experience in municipal law. We also have policy experts. Our core areas of expertise are in planning, finance, public policy, and we have particularly, Lisa's been particularly working on climate issues recently. Josh Klicka is our expert on procurement and public works contracting. So hope if you don't know these folks, you'll get to know them, and we've got a great team behind the scenes of administration, communications, and technology. Again, here is the Ask MRSC button. You prominent on our website, or you can email us, particularly if you want to direct a question to someone in particular that you've gotten to know, or know that, or if you don't know who to get it to, use the Ask MRSC button. We'll get the question to the right person promptly. It's always an option to call, and sometimes that's a great option if you want to bat around ideas, or if you've got a sensitive topic that you want to talk to somebody confidentially, pick up the phone and give us a call. So these are the kinds of examples of questions that we receive. We get lots of legal questions about the Public Records and Open Public Meetings Act. Questions like, how are the 5 business days calculated in responding to public records requests? We get questions about how things work, just how does implementation work? For example, COVID vaccines, if you were to mandate those, how would that work? The medical exemption process. We get questions around human resources, about signing bonuses, for example. We get questions that kind of combine maybe a finance issue with an ethics issue. Can I use a town snowplow to plow a private driveway if the owner pays? It's really an equity question as well. We get questions that are conflict of interest questions. If a fire district commissioner marries a fire district employee, is that a problem, a conflict of interest problem? What are the rules related to public facilities on elections? Again, another kind of ethics and legal question. We get lots of questions about revenues, and we have a wonderful revenue guide, and it doesn't cover every single situation So if you want to talk through or get some expertise around revenues, for example, a real estate excise tax and how that works, we've got an expert on that. And again, another legal or human resources question. What are the criteria for determining which employees are exempt and non-exempt? And the issue there is that the criteria change depending on a court case or some new legislation. So it's really good to keep up, and our folks on staff keep up with all the latest on those things. We also do training, and we provide live webinars. That's on a monthly basis. We usually have 2 a month. We also have a library of on-demand webinars and e-learning, particularly the e-learning on open public meetings and public records, which is required for certain folks. We aren't doing in-person trainings right now because of the virus, but we are planning to get back to those. And we do very popular, the ones that we're not doing in person, we are doing online right now. But we've got popular series around public works contracting, annual financial reporting, and public records that we do in person generally. You can find all of that information on the training bar on our website. These are examples of upcoming training that we have, and you can register for those now, I believe. We've got an Open Public Meetings Act update, really timely topic on public engagement in polarized times, a procurement series, and if you're responsible for annual financial reporting, we've got you covered there, and much more, including a lodging tax basis. If you've missed a training or you need some training and you don't see one coming up, you should check out our pre-recorded webinars, and you can sign up for those on your convenience. There are credits available for some credits from your professional association, like municipal attorneys or planners, accounting folks can get credits for some of our trainings that are online. Another service that we provide is timely information through articles that we post. We generally write them, or we have guest writers write them on issues that are current. So for example, the Washington CARES Act, which was our long-term care program in Washington State, which is kind of on pause right now. This gives the details on what's going on and what's likely to happen in the future. So again, we write very timely things on new legislation, on court decisions, on emerging issues that impact local governments. And the best way to keep track of all that is to sign up for our weekly, well, some of them are weekly, but some of them are a lot less often, but our e-newsletters. And we're actually looking at that, at the frequency of the e-newsletters. We don't pile on in your inbox, but when you get these, they're very timely. They give you the latest local government news and analysis. Our blog posts, we have news headlines from around the country and within the state. It lets us let you know about upcoming trainings, our own and those that other associations are providing. And you can read it on the go because it's mobile friendly. It's really popular. Again, 12,000 folks subscribe to these newsletters, and they can't be wrong. So if you're not subscribed to these, please do so. You can do that on our website, and you can also get information about us, the content that we put out through social media. You can follow us on Facebook, on Twitter, and LinkedIn. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Steve Hawley, who's going to give an overview of our website.
Great, thank you, Tracy. So in just a minute here, I will take you over and actually show you the live MRSC website, do a little demo, take you for a spin, but just kind of a quick overview before I do. So the MRSC website contains a ton of information that's relevant to local governments, specifically in Washington State, as Tracy mentioned. So we've got a variety of databases that provide information. I'll show you a few of those. We have over 350 what we call topic pages that provide legal, policy, and financial guidance on a wide range of topics. A number of our local government users have referred to this as kind of like Wikipedia for local governments. As Tracy mentioned, we publish usually 2 new blog posts every week that also go out through our e-newsletters. We have about 30 in-depth publications that you can download or print that do a really deep dive into kind of some of those core local government topic areas. Again, I'll talk a little bit more about that. We have an extensive sample document library with over 4,200 sample documents that have been adopted and implemented by local governments in Washington state, and that people use as examples when they are formulating their own policies or their own documents. We have webinars and trainings, as Tracy mentioned, and more. So before we go over to the website, we've got one last polling question for you, which is, have you used MRSC's website recently? We'll give folks a few more seconds to answer here. All right, so about 16% of you say yes often, about half say yes occasionally, and a little over a third say no, you haven't. That's great, that's what I'm here for. So give me just a minute while I switch on over. Okay, and you should be seeing the MRSC homepage here. The MRSC homepage has a variety of articles. You can see some recent blog posts that we've published on severe weather shelters, a new article published just yesterday on the federal infrastructure bill. We have some examples in our Ask MRSC archives of questions that we have answered recently. Now, when you are navigating the MRSC website, there are really two different ways to do that, and I'll show you both of those. But the first one is our website search, and that appears here at the top of any page on our website. And this is a really great place to start, just in general, but especially if you're looking for information and you're not entirely sure where to find it. And then the other option, which I'll show you, is through our navigation menu. That's these drop-down menus here. So for the website search, again, really great place to start. We've put a lot of time and energy over the last few years into improving it. And generally speaking, simpler search terms work better than more complicated terms. So, 2 or 3 or 4 words is generally going to, get you something better than if you type in, 20 words. So I'm just going to do a sample search here on a topic that is always very popular, and that's public records. So if I type in Public Records Act, and then you can hit enter or just click go. And now you will see the search results. So you can see we have 413 search results. Obviously, that's a lot of information. Hopefully you'll find the information that you're looking for, whatever the search term is, near the top of the list. We do have our search specially weighted, so it prioritizes certain sections, particularly our topic pages and our blog posts, basically places that'll give you the most context about the topic that you're looking for. But you can also narrow your results. So you can see over here on the right-hand side, there's an option to refine your results and select document type. So you can select one or more of these document types, things such as topic pages, and you can see how many of them there are. So 97 topic pages, 201 blog posts, 4 publications, you've got sample documents, inquiries, and a couple other categories. Now, if you're not sure what these categories mean, there is also a question mark icon next to each of them. And if you hover your mouse over that icon, you will see a brief definition. So here you can see that topic pages provide topic overviews, including legal guidance, practice tips, examples, and more. Blog posts similarly provide short articles on new legislation, court decisions, emerging issues, and best practices. So let's say that you want to take a look at those in-depth publications that we have related to the Public Records Act. You can just select publications. And now with one click, we've gone from 413 search results, I think, down to 4. And so you can see these are the publications that we have related to the Public Records Act. I'll talk a little bit more about publications here in a second. Then you can clear your selections and go back to your original search results. So here we are back at the original 413 results. You can also look, for instance, at sample documents. So we can see we have 43 sample documents matching this particular search term. If you click on that, now you're seeing those 43 documents. And you can even, with sample documents in particular, you can drill one level further and actually select the type of document because we have so many sample documents. And so, for instance, if you're looking for PRA policies or procedures, you can click on this policies and procedures. You can see we have 22 documents there. And now you're seeing those 22 documents. So in 2 clicks, we've gone from 413 search results to 22 PRA policies and procedures. And some of the documents, quite a few of them will have some sort of short description to provide a little bit of context to orient you as to the contents of the document. You can see here, this first search result is the PRA rules for the city of Snoqualmie. They were adopted by the city in 2019. And then if you click on these documents, almost all of the sample documents in our library are PDF documents. And so you can see here, this is the actual resolution from the city of Snoqualmie. And then if you scroll down a few pages, now you get to the actual Public Records Act rules. And these documents are not actually on, we're not actually on the City of Snoqualmie website here, we're actually still on the MRSC website. So what we do with our sample document library is we save copies of these documents that we have found. Some of the documents are sent to us. Some of the documents we find through projects we're working on or research requests that we get through our Ask MRSC service. But we save a copy of them to our website so that they're actually stored on the MRSC website. And the reason that we do that is it makes the document management a lot easier and it helps prevent those links from breaking in the future. So for instance, local governments are updating their websites frequently. Old web pages get removed, new ones get published, documents come and go, or maybe even just get moved and reorganized. And so those links can break. Whereas saving them here in our library means that you should still be able to have access to those. So I'm going to go back here. And one other way to access our sample documents is through our sample document library directly. So I'm going to switch over here into the website navigation that I was talking about. Our sample document library is one of our research tools. So we've got a number of tools here. You can see this is one of the many ways that you can access our Ask MRSC service, as well as, like Tracy mentioned, this upper right-hand button that you can access from any point on our website. And so under research tools, you can see a listing of several tools, including our sample document library. So I'll click on the sample document library. And kind of like with our website, you have 2 options for looking for sample documents. You can search for sample documents, which you can also do as we saw through our website search. But a new feature that you can do here is you can browse sample documents by type. And so that actually allows you to see all of the sample documents that we have in our library for a particular type of document. And we've made some significant improvements to this in the last year that have made it much easier to use and much more valuable, I think. So for instance, I'm going to start with a browse here, and I'm going to browse job descriptions, which I think is some place where the browse works particularly well because you have jurisdictions that may have jobs that perform similar duties, but perhaps have different names. And so maybe you're not entirely sure what job title you're looking for, but just kind of want to see what we have. So you can see here, all of these documents when you're browsing are listed in alphabetical order by the document title, which in this case is the job title. So you can see all of the accountant and accounting related positions first, and then you move on to various administrative positions and so on down the alphabet. So that's really helpful. Again, if you click on any of these documents, you will see a PDF that is stored on our website. I'll go back here. Now, there may be times where you want to sort by something other than the document title, such as the date or even the jurisdiction. You can do that just by clicking on the column header here. So let's say that you just want to look at documents that have been adopted recently. You can click on the date. And here you can see we have a number of job descriptions that were adopted in 2022, then 2021, and working your way backward. And then similarly, if you click on jurisdiction, you'll see a similar listing where we're now doing an alphabetical order for the jurisdiction name: Aberdeen, Adams County, Airway Heights, and so forth. Now, you can also use this search sample documents option. And if you're looking for, let's say that you work for a water sewer district and you're looking for a job description to update your general manager job description and want to look at some examples that other jurisdictions have done. So you could type in general manager and you could search all sample documents, which is our default, or you can select a specific section here. So I'll select job descriptions and then you can click go. And here you can see the job descriptions that we have in our library matching that particular search term. I'll do one more example here. This is a document that I know that we added recently, tax increment financing. So this has been, as Tracy mentioned, we did a webinar on it recently. We recently overhauled our website information in response to new legislation that was passed by the state legislature last year. So I'm just going to do a search for tax increment financing and all sample documents. Now I'll tell you right off the bat, we don't have a lot since this is still such a brand new topic. We are on the lookout for these sorts of things. If your jurisdiction is working on this, we would certainly love to see what you've got. But you can see here we have two search results. One of them is from the Port of Pasco, creating a tax increment financing area. And again, you can see kind of a very brief description of what is included in this document. And then you can also see another one down here. Now, this is where the kind of brief descriptions are really helpful because this is actually a different authority. This is an older and more limited authority under community revitalization financing. So you can see here, it's actually a different RCW than this one. So that hopefully allows you to kind of get a better idea before you even open the document of what you're looking at and which documents are going to be most relevant to you. Now, we do always encourage whenever you are looking at any of these sample documents, whatever they are, make sure to review them carefully, work with your staff, work with your legal counsel. You want to make sure that these documents work for your particular situation and your particular jurisdiction. So depending on the context, different jurisdiction types may have different statutory requirements. They may have different procedures they need to follow. They may have different needs. So just always make sure you're taking a look at these carefully. And then if at any point in time you're looking for something on our website and you can't find it, which, we've got a lot of information, but we can't have everything. So just ask MRSC. Again, we've got the link right there to fill out an online form, or as Tracy mentioned, you can give us a call and one of our staff members will look into it for you. A couple other research tools I want to highlight. So we have our city and town profiles. We also have county profiles. I'll take a quick look at the city and town profiles. This is a listing of all 281 cities and towns in the state of Washington. They're in alphabetical order, A to Z. If you click on one of these, you will see more details about that particular jurisdiction, including contact information, links to their listing of city officials, their municipal code if it's available online, and some other key local government documents. And similar to our sample document browse feature, you can also sort these by other categories. So you could sort by population size, you can sort by county, you can sort by city classification, and you can sort by form of government. So if you click on form of government, for instance, you will see now we have a listing of all of the council manager cities in the state of Washington. And then if you scroll down, you can see now we're getting to the list of all of the mayor council cities in Washington. Another tool that we have our custom city and county website search. So this is a little bit different than the website searches that I've shown you so far. The ones that I've shown you previously have been searching the MRSC website. This is actually a custom Google search that we have curated that searches city and county websites directly. So you'll see, let's say that you're a county official, you're updating your critical areas ordinance, and you want to look for examples from other jurisdictions or see what sort of information they've been posting to their websites. You could search county websites, critical areas, and then you'll see the website search results look a little bit different here because again, we're actually searching the county websites in this instance. So you can see King County, Snoqualmie County, Skagit County, Spokane County, etc. So here, if you click on one of these search results, such as the Kittitas County search, it'll open in a new tab here. And you can see we are no longer on the MRSC website. We are on the Kittitas County website on their Critical Areas Ordinance webpage. So that's a really handy tool. We use it ourselves sometimes when we're looking for information. I'm going to close out of this. That'll take me back to the MRSC website. A few more research tools. I'm not going to do an in-depth discussion of all of them, but just kind of to let you know that they're there. We have our Ask MRSC Archives. This is where we periodically will post. We generally do about one a week, and we'll include a couple of them in our e-newsletters as well. But examples of questions that we have answered recently from local governments. I do want to emphasize that whenever we post these online, we always do a certain amount of editing. We remove any identifying information, so we're not identifying who asked the question or even what jurisdiction, but we make it more general, kind of, instead of a question about a particular city, it'll be a question about code cities in general or something like that. We have a local ballot measure database. So if your jurisdiction is considering sending a ballot measure to voters, we have about 10 years of data at this point on how local government ballot measures have performed across the state, and you can sort those by statutory authority, by topic, and by several other criteria, so that can be really helpful. We have links to city and county codes if you want to go directly to the code of a particular jurisdiction, or even there are some options to search multiple codes at the same time. We have find your contracting requirements. This is for those of you in the procurement field. Just asks you a couple of quick questions about what type of project or procurement you're working on, whether that's a purchase or a public works project, or maybe architecture and engineering services. And then you enter your agency type, or for cities and counties, your specific entity. And then it'll return your statutory competitive bidding requirements, such as bid limits, your formal competitive bidding requirements, possible exemptions, things like that. We also have links if you want to access state laws or administrative rules or court decisions. And then we have a utility liens and shutoffs tool as well for those of you who may be dealing with a situation of non-payment of utilities and want to figure out what your options are. So that walks you through a much more detailed set of questions to figure out type of utility, exactly the situation that you are in, and then what is and is not allowed under state law. Next up on our website is the Explore Topics section. So this is kind of that Wikipedia-like section that I had mentioned to you earlier. So like I said, we've got over 350 topics on 350 pages on a wide variety of topics. You can see on the left here a list of popular topics. So this is something that is updated periodically. Some of these topics, kind of come and go. So we have our COVID resources, for instance, which not quite as temporary as I might have liked, but someday we'll get to take that down, and I look forward to that day very much. We have our quick guide for newly elected city officials, since there was an election recently, obviously. And we also have diversity, equity, and inclusion resources, which has been a hot topic among local governments these last couple of years in particular. And then we also have some topics that are essentially permanent. We always get lots of questions on these, year in and year out. And that's things like the Public Records Act, Open Public Meetings Act, purchasing and contracting. And then in the summer and the fall, we also add budgeting to that list. So just to kind of give you a quick idea of what those popular topics often look like, I'll click on purchasing and contracting. And this really takes you to basically a one-stop shop for all of MRSC's information related to procurement. So you can find the link to that Find Your Contracting Requirements tool that I mentioned. Here are links to some pages that we have that provide general information on procurement, information specific to services, information specific to purchases, public works, etc. So it's a really great jumping off point. You can also kind of browse through higher level topics. So, finance or legal topics, personnel issues, planning. So we'll take a look at what that looks like briefly. I'm going to click on the finance section. And you can see here a listing of all of the pages that we have that fall under that finance category, broken down into some general subtopics. So you can see we have topics here related to various accounting sorts of issues, cost allocation, payroll administration, things of that nature, information on budgeting. Scroll down further, you get information on debt, information on financial data and tools. There's just a lot of information there. So I just kind of want to highlight briefly some of the projects we've been working on recently, some of these topic pages that we've published or redone. So some examples include our COVID-19 resources. We've been working fast and furiously to keep those up to date. The pace of that has slowed down a lot the last probably 6 months or so, but we are still updating them when we have updates to share. New page that Tracy mentioned on tax increment financing. We have information on roles and responsibilities of local government officials, particularly focusing on the distinction between the legislative branch and responsibilities and the executive branch, which can cause some confusion and tension sometimes. Information on diversity, equity, and inclusion, as I mentioned, executive sessions, overtime and comp time, affordable housing. We're just in the process of publishing some new great information on local government climate change response issues. So you can see there's all sorts of topics that we address here. The next section of our website is Stay Informed. This is where you can access our recent blog posts. This is also where you can sign up for our e-newsletters, which I would encourage you to do if you've not already done so. You can access a few other things such as our local governments in the news. That's where we kind of take a sampling of some local government, so some local newspaper articles about what local governments in Washington state are doing. We also include those in our e-newsletters that go out as well. The training section of our website, this is where you can learn more about our webinars and sign up for them. We also, in addition to our live offerings, we have some e-learning courses and on-demand webinars, as Tracy mentioned earlier, where you can view recordings of webinars that aired previously, and in many cases still get some credits for them. The publications section, so these are, as I mentioned, really in-depth PDF manuals that do a deep dive into core local government topics. So, some of our popular ones include, we've got a variety of publications on procurement. We have our revenue guides that go into a pretty in-depth look at city and county revenue options. We have publications on public records, open public meetings, roles and responsibilities of elected officials, and many other topics. So you can see here at the very top, we have one of our popular publications, Knowing the Territory, which provides kind of a basic legal orientation to the roles of city and county and special purpose districts officials and kind of things that you need to know to kind of help keep you out of trouble. So if you click on this, you'll see here's the PDF document. This particular one is about 40 pages long. And then the publications that we have been updating in recent years, we've also been adding a number of improvements to them, such as interactive navigation features, so make it easier to go around between various pages and sections. We've also been adding revision histories so that you can see specifically what information has changed and when. So in this particular case, you can see we've made a couple of updates just within the last few months in response to recent legislation, as well as a new court decision. And then you'll see kind of your standard table of contents. And again, for some of our more recent publications, you can actually click on these if you're viewing it on a computer, and you'll jump straight to that section. You can also navigate back to the table of contents at any point in time. So we've tried to make them as easy to use as possible. You can still obviously print them out as well for those of you who want to do that. I'll head back to the MRC website here. A few last things kind of wrapping up. So we have an About MRSC section. This is where you can access our staff directory if you want to contact one of our staff members directly. You can also get an overview of our services. This is where we post job opportunities when those become available. We also send those out through our regular e-newsletters. And we also have a rosters program for those of you involved in procurement. We're not going to be talking about rosters at all today, but just kind of letting you know that you can access our rosters program from the main MRSC website. You can also access it up here at the very top. So this will take you to the MRSC rosters website, which is a separate website. We also have this partners link up here, which provides information. So most of our funding comes through the state budget, but we also have contracts with some special purpose district associations, as Tracy mentioned, that allow certain special purpose districts, hundreds of them, to access our Ask MRSC services. And we also have a few private sponsors who help support our work as well. And then the contact us, this is for kind of any general questions or comments you may have. So, if you're looking at our website and you're trying to click on a link and that link is broken, please let us know. We do our best to find those and stay on top of maintaining them. But there's a lot of information, and sometimes you're going to find them before we do. So if you find something like that, we love hearing from all you folks. It really helps make sure that we're providing the best services that we can to local governments across the state. The only thing I would say is, the contact us form is just kind of for general contact information. If you have one of those Ask MRSC legal questions, or you want us to do some research for you, use the Ask MRSC button. So we'll make sure, however you contact us, we'll make sure that it gets to the right spot, but it just makes it a little bit easier to kind of sort that at the beginning. So that does it for the website demonstration. So give me just a second here while I switch back over and hand it off to Tracy.
Super presentation, Steve. Really very helpful. We know that you're not alone in being able to make use of MRSC services, so help us spread the word. There are a lot of new employees at the public service level, and so tell your colleagues about MRSC. Encourage them to sign up for our emails. And I'm sure, as you've learned today, well, there are a lot of folks out there who aren't aware of everything that we offer. So encourage your HR folks too to give an overview in their onboarding processes on day one of how MRSC can help everyone do their job just a little bit better. So now we've got time for you to submit questions of us, anything that you want to know about MRSC services, or how it works, or what's there, or did we go too fast or too slow over a particular area and you want to know more. Just put your questions in our Q&A box. And while you're doing that, I'll just remind folks that we've got registration open for Open Public Meetings Act, the latest issues and case law updates for those of you who are clerks or work with elected officials, or planning commissions or other bodies that may be subject to the Open Public Meetings Act. That's a great webinar. Flannery Collins on our staff is very engaging. Rethinking public engagement on polarized times, that applies to all of us. And so that's going to be a super, we'll have a number of panelists who do this on professionally and are looking at how things are changing and how local governments need to adapt. They'll be there. And then again, if you are a treasurer, clerk treasurer, and you're responsible for the annual financial reporting for your organization, that's a great series. Looks like we've got some questions coming in, but just another reminder to sign up for our e-newsletters if you haven't already.
All right, so yes, we are getting some questions coming in, Tracy. There's a question here about will we have access to the recording of this presentation? Yes, we will be sending out a recording of the presentation to everyone who registered. I also forgot to mention this earlier, but for the website demonstration, obviously we were doing that live. That was not a PowerPoint presentation, but in order to help you follow along, we have included screenshots of basically the demonstrations that I did, so that you can follow along in the PowerPoint presentation as well, and kind of see what we did and where we were on the website when we did it. We have a question here about, do or will you have human resources related webinars?
Yes, we do. We do them occasionally interspersed with our other training. We're coming up with one in May. I know that I'll be putting together on talking to HR professionals on remote management of remote employees, and also how to create a collaborative and cohesive environment when some of your folks are working in the office and some of them are working remotely, and that's likely to carry on well beyond COVID because of the popularity of telecommuting. So how do you create? And we've also done them on hiring, on yeah, on performance reviews and things like that. So yes, we do human resources related webinars.
Another question here, are you able to answer specific questions about ARPA, which is the American Rescue Plan Act passed by the federal government?
Yes, Eric Lowell on our staff is our finance person, and he's been deep into ARPA. So knows all of the regulations, how you can use the money, and how what restrictions there are, and also what other local governments are doing. And so absolutely, that's a great question. Some of the questions that we went over in the webinar, maybe it seemed basic. We get a lot of really tricky questions that you have and you're grappling with. So do not hesitate to call or email or use our Ask MRSC service from the website, because we have probably gotten that question before, and many times we haven't, but we will dig in and do the research and find the answer for you.
Yeah, and if you have a question, you are probably not the only one with that question. So we handle all ranges of questions from the most basic to the most complicated. Question here, someone wants more information on the MRC rosters program. Is there a separate training for that? We do have separate trainings for our rosters program. They also have a separate website, as I mentioned. I'm not sure when the next one is. I don't know if you have anything else to say about that, Tracy.
Many of them are on demand. So that's a great way to get really, quickly access training on how the rosters program works. So there's training for both local entities and for business entities about how to use our rosters program on demand on the rosters website.
Okay. Question, for those of us who are new to Washington state land use laws, do you have any webinars or trainings on the Growth Management Act and or SEPA?
We do planning is one of our core areas. So we do training. We've been spending a lot of time on affordable housing and as it relates to growth management. But these are really great suggestions for trainings. I would suggest go to our website, see all the resources there, take advantage of our expertise. We've got a couple of planners on staff, Lisa Poole and Steve Butler, that can help. And we'll definitely, these are great suggestions for training topics for the future.
And I do know that the State Department of Commerce, I believe, also provides training, particularly on GMA, on the Growth Management Act.
Yep, they're a great resource.
A question here about our on-demand webinars eligible for WAPRO credit, which is credit for Washington State Public Records Officers.
I do not know the answer to that. But
you would have to check our, yes, I know it varies a little bit because different associations have different requirements in terms of what types of activities are, live versus recorded are or are not eligible. So all of that information would be available on our on-demand webinars page. We also got one question earlier that was regarding essentially training scholarships, about how to register for fee-based trainings without paying the fee if they're, so some of our trainings do have scholarships that are available, often through Endurus or one of the special purpose district associations that we contract with. That information is available on our website, again, for any of our webinars that we have.
WCIA and CIAW, I believe, also provide some for some topics. They provide scholarships, so that's a good place to look on our scholarship section of it.
Yeah, and again, kind of like the credits, that kind of varies from from webinar to webinar and from association to association. Some of them you have to sign up in advance. Some of them you file for reimbursement for afterwards. We try to make that information as clear as we can. So just whatever training you're interested in, just take a look at the information for that training. And then if you still have questions, let us know. And I think that's all the questions we've received so far. So last call for anyone out there who might have any more questions. I think we'll leave it open for just a short while in case anything comes in here at the end. Oh, here's an interesting one. Both a question and a compliment. I really value the quality of your content. Is there anything you model your content and training on? That's a good question.
I think we've just honed it over time. We've done this presentation so many times, Steve and I, that we've really got it down, I think. So, well, Steve has really got it down anyway.
And as you know, as far as our website, you know, I'm not sure if there's any particular, because I mean, MRSC is a very unique organization. And so, you know, it's, as I've said, I think that, you know, the closest comparison would probably be Wikipedia. But again, the difference there is that, you know, Wikipedia is more kind of open source and lots of different people can edit it, whereas ours is curated by, you know, by our staff members and you know, our attorneys and our editors and our policy experts. So it's yeah, it's a little bit of its own thing. We did look at a couple of the improvements we were making lately at Wikipedia as you know, how we can improve navigation on a couple of things. So that's probably the closest thing, but we're kind of our own have our own twist on things too.
I think one of the keys is that we try really carefully to listen to our customers and what you're telling us you need, and we try to be very responsive and nimble to that. So if you see something or you don't see something and you like it up there, or you're having trouble finding something, let us know. We really put a lot of energy into revamping our search on our website, and so because people let us know that it wasn't as good as it could have been, and now I think it's one of the best out there. So we definitely try to be responsive.
A question here on what is our annual budget. I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but like I said, we're funded primarily through the state budget, and then have some supplemental contracts with some special purpose district associations and others. I don't know if you have anything else to say on that, Tracy.
That's about $2.8 million a year, and we like to tell the legislature and others that it magnifies by tenfold in the savings that we give back to local governments in terms of their time, and just making sure that they don't make mistakes that can be very costly, liabilities and so forth. So we actually have done some calculations of that value, and we hope that you agree that it's a good value.
All right, well, I think that is about it.
Thank you, everyone.
Oh, we got one more coming in here at the end. We got a few thank you messages. Thank you as well for attending. We do have a question here. Do you have a general overview of the responsibilities of a council member that includes application of specific RCWs, overstepping boundaries, public engagement, communication, budget administration, etc.?
We have a section on our website for newly elected officials, so that's a great place to get all that information there on the website.
And I would highly encourage you to check out Knowing the Territory in particular. You know, we've got a lot of publications that go into those specific topics, but Knowing the Territory kind of provides you a higher level overview. I know there is a treasurer checklist with important deadlines. Is there something like this for clerks? We have, you would have to look, we have something along those lines. I can't remember if it's specifically, I feel like it's a clerk treasurer calendar and checklist. You'd have to take a look on our website under our finance section. And then a question on whether there's a way to apply for a scholarship when checking out for the training registration. It looks like Jacob may be responding to that. I'm not sure the exact process for the scholarships. Like I said, some of them it varies in terms of applying upfront versus filing for reimbursement afterwards. So I would say take a look at the individual registration pages.
Thank you to everyone who's held on with us through the end. Really appreciated all your questions and your compliments. And thank you to Steve and for Leah and Jacob on the back end and producing this webinar for you. And spread the word. We're out here to help you do your jobs better.
All right, thank you, everyone.